Major developing news out of Dallas. We are tracking a growing number of reports that Mark Cuban plans to sell a majority stake of the Dallas Mavericks.
That would be huge for multiple reasons. The Associated Press is one of multiple outlets reporting Cuban is nearing an agreement to sell that majority stake of the NBA franchise to Miriam Adelson and the Adelson family, who own the Las Vegas Sands Corporation. Our Nick Starling is staying on top of this story live at American Airlines Center. Hey, Nick, first Cuban announcing he's soon to leave the show Shark Tank, but these reports are even more shocking.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, this is major news for the Mavericks and for Dallas. We're live outside the American Airlines Center where the Mavs played a game last night, and Mark Cuban was there, but he's not saying anything publicly about this potential sale. I want to show you some video here of when the Mavericks took on the Houston Rockets, and Mark Cuban was there. He looked very focused on the game as he cheered on the team to victory. Now, the AP says the potential sale would be around $3.5 billion and take weeks to process. Multiple reports say despite selling a majority stake, Cuban would still be in charge of basketball operations for the Mavs. Cuban said almost a year ago he was interested in partnering with the Adelson family. He's been a supporter of legalizing gambling in Texas, which the state legislature so far have not passed. Cuban also said last year he wanted to build a new arena in downtown Dallas that would also be a casino resort. Miriam Adelson, the possible new owner, is the controlling shareholder of the Las Vegas Sands Corporation that built the Venetian and Palazzo resorts in Las Vegas. And the company revealed the sale of $2 billion in stock. And if the entirety of the $2 billion goes towards this purchase, it would mean Adelson could get at least 57% of the Mavericks based on a $3.5 billion valuation. Sounds like something from Shark Tank. The vetting process for new owners in the NBA typically takes several weeks, and then approval must be granted by the league's board of governors, so this could take a little while. Now, Cuban has been owner of the Mavericks since the year 2000, and so far he's been very tight-lipped about this situation. So have the Mavericks. Coming up in about a half hour, we'll give you a little bit about the history of Mark Cuban's with the Mavericks as well. Live in downtown Dallas, Nick Starling, CBS News, Texas.
Hey, it's not like Miriam Adelson will be at a loss of money. Nick and Madison. She's one of the richest women in the entire country, worth almost $33 billion.
It'll be certainly interesting to watch what plays out in the coming days.
Yes, it will. Nick, thanks. Developing news this morning, the Dallas Mavs could soon have an ownership change. Multiple reports say Mark Cuban's days of cheering the team on from the bench, coming off that bench, challenging the refs, could soon be over. Reportedly, he plans to sell a majority stake of the NBA franchise.
Yeah, the Associated Press is one of multiple different outlets reporting that Cuban is nearing an agreement to sell to Miriam Adelson and the Adelson family, who own the Las Vegas Sands Corporation in Las Vegas. Now, this is obviously a complicated deal, so we bring in our Nick Starling. So, Nick, we know that Mark Cuban was at that game last night. Did he say anything about this potential deal?
Yeah, good morning, guys. So far, he hasn't said anything publicly, but if true, this is big news, and this is the first time that the Dallas Mavericks have changed ownership hands since the year 2000, when Mark Cuban bought the team. And speaking of the Mavericks, we were outside the AAC where the Mavericks took on the Houston Rockets last night. Mark Cuban was actually at the game. We have video of that. You can see him there at the Dallas Mavericks sweatshirt, looking stoic and focused on the game. Multiple reports say Cuban would sell a majority stake in the team for around just a mere $3.5 billion. But according to the AP, Cuban would remain in charge of basketball operations for the Mavs. The potential new owner, Miriam Adelson, is the controlling shareholder of the Las Vegas Sands Corporation that built the Venetian and Palazzo resorts in Las Vegas, and was the wife of Sheldon Adelson, the former CEO of that company, who died a few years ago. Now let's talk about the history of Mark Cuban with the Mavericks. Cuban has been the owner of the Mavericks since I mentioned the year 2000, when he bought the team from Ross Perot Jr. for $285 million at the time. The team wasn't winning a whole lot of games. Cuban even admitted at the time he didn't really know much about basketball. The team moved into the American Airlines Center in 2001, and with the help of Dirk Nowitzki, won its first NBA championship in 2011. Now the vetting process for new NBA owners takes a few weeks, so this could take a little while. It has to be approved by the league's board of governors. And by the way, the Mavericks beat the Rockets by a score of 121 to 115. Live in downtown Dallas, Nick Starling, CBS News, Texas.
Yeah, you know what? It may be a good deal money-wise for all parties involved if it goes down. But the one thing I'm sure everyone in DFW will miss, similar to Jerry Jones and his, nonstop love of the Cowboys, Mark Cuban has that same love of the Mavericks, and that passion is something that may not be able to be replaced.
Yeah, so if it is true that he stays in control of basketball operations, certainly something that could lead to him still being that force behind the team, but it's a wait-and-see type game.
Yes, it is.